Hey guys, what's going on? You know who it is. It's your girl Val back with another video. Just want to see how you guys were doing, how you guys are staying safe, and how you guys have been dealing with the COVID-19. Have you been out and about? The world is somewhat open. Have y'all been out in the stores? Or have you been staying home? You guys talk to me. Let me know. Subscribe, like, share this video, and leave me some comments. Let me know where you guys are and what your states have been doing and how you've been coping with this. But today I wanted to come and talk just briefly about a controversial topic. And it's something that I've dealt with and am dealing with. And it is fathering in the 21st century. It's so much that can be said. But let me start off with this disclaimer, right? So I am all for and I support my black men and my black fathers. I was raised by a black father and my children have black fathers. So this is in no way to bash black men or black fathers, okay? This is to talk about my own experiences and to kind of shed some light on some things that I don't think that we talk about enough, because I don't think that we come with the correct verbiage in delivering what we feel about how things are being done. And then I don't think, from my own perspective as a woman, that we take ownership for the things that we have created. So when I was coming up in school, I was one of about 5 people that I knew within my high school, and I could be wrong on the number, but just going by my memory, that were raised by both our mother and our father, right? So it wasn't until I was in middle school that somebody acknowledged it and said, man, you lucky you got both your mama and your daddy. And for me, it was the norm. I didn't know that there were other people unless I knew you and I've been to your home and visited with you, spent the night or whatever we did back in the day. I didn't know that everybody was not raised by both of their parents. So I never saw it as a big deal, and, people kind of think that, you would follow in the footsteps of what you saw, and what you saw was a 2-parent household. But I'm gonna tell you right now, of the 5 friends and classmates that I can remember, we are all single parents. We didn't kind of go down the road of what we saw, and it's not. I don't think any of it was intentional or even thought about. I don't think we even realized that that's kind of what we the kind of the life that we created. And that's not what we were shown. Usually you emulate what you are around and your environment and what you're shown. So, my father, very brilliant man in my mind. He was very, very intelligent, very astute. He made sure that my sister and I had an extensive vocabulary. He would always speak to us. I'm talking about from as we were learning words. I'm talking about toddlers. He would always speak to us in a very intelligent manner. He would always use words that he would either have to tell us as we were coming up, and then as we got older, that we would have to look up to find out the meanings of those words. And it just carried on. And so with my children, I did the same thing. I would use words and vocabulary that was kind of over the scale of where they were in their education, so there's something that they could learn and aspire to obtain. So like I say, very brilliant man. He was in the military, in the Air Force, and he spoke a couple of languages, and he taught us those languages. Some things you don't retain, but that's neither here nor there. So, but my father had a lot of flaws, and some of those flaws I learned at an early age. Some of the things that you don't think that your parents would end up being or doing or showing. That's kind of some of the things that I was exposed to. And parents can only give you what they know. They can't go out and give you something that they don't have any knowledge about, right? And so some form of our parenting comes from just the life that we've led. Whether or not it's something that we feel compelled to discuss or not, but there are areas that show up in your life, in your children's life, and in your parenting that goes back to some things that you've done, whether it was behind closed doors or whatever the case is. Okay. So, and like in a previous video, I'd always tell you that my father used to tell me, don't shop on the discount rack. Any men or, boys that I was dating back then, it was very important for me to get the approval of my father, even though there were things that he was doing in his own life that wouldn't seem to be the best way to be. Let me put it like that, okay? So, with that, I have 2 children. My daughter should be 22 next week, and my son will be 21 in December. So, and they both have separate fathers, right? And so, nothing about any lessons that I learned with my daughter's father in just raising her did I carry to my son and his father. You know what I mean? So lessons that I should have learned should have tweaked my idea of the male that I should have been involved in and attached to, right? So, being a single parent, and I say this all the time to people, I never felt like I had a real struggle. I had a great support system, from their fathers' families to their godparents and their families. So I had in my own family. So I had a great support system. But what we don't always do in time is, first of all, self-evaluate where we went wrong. And then we don't typically hold people accountable for how they show up in our lives and in the lives of our children when it comes to parenting. So I can only speak for me as a woman and my experience with my children's fathers. I always wanted to be the baby mama that was real chill. No conflict. Like, I don't like conflict in my life, period. So I was never the parent that wanted to cause drama. I wanted you to have whatever relationship you wanted to have with your child, right? So my kids will tell you, I didn't do that parent bashing. Like, we not doing that. What either they there or they not. But we're not gonna do no parent bashing. We're gonna still do what we're doing over here. I'm gonna still make it happen over here. So I just didn't do that. You know what I mean? So, and we've had our run-ins, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying I'm the perfect parent. Okay? But this is what I'm saying. Is that 365 days out of a year for 22 and 21 years, I showed up. Every day, all day. You know what I mean? And I think what bothers single women, single mothers, is that the men don't even realize that parenting is low-key very simple. All it requires is you to show up. It doesn't require you to have all the knowledge. It doesn't require you to have all the money. It requires you to show up. That is it. And I don't think that as a young parent, I didn't understand that then, and I know that the fathers of my children didn't understand that either. Because, when you're young, your emotions are tied to this. When parenting, especially co-parenting, is a business. It's a business. You have to be able to communicate with your partner what you need, where they're lacking, and come to a consensus on how we gonna get this child through elementary, middle school, high school, into the next areas of their life. You know what I mean? And so, as a young mother, I held a lot of animosity and anger to them for not just showing up. And I would always tell my children, listen, do your part. You know what I mean? It is absolutely the adult and the parent's job to reach out to a child. It is not the child's job to reach out to the parent. And I know that sometimes parents, that especially those that are feuding, don't allow those fathers to communicate with those children, but it is your job as the parent to reach out to the child. I do not care where you are in the world. It's your job to do everything you can to communicate with your child. You know what I mean? It's not your child's job to communicate with you and find out what you're doing in your life and to tell you what they're doing. It's not their job. So that's something that I was unable to convey effectively to the fathers of my children. And so they both have strained relationships with their fathers. And it bothers me because, you know, you want that. You know, whether or not you and the man worked out, that has nothing to do with the child. Because those relationships are needed for that child to have, you know, the best and most well-rounded outcome of their life. They lack something. You lack something when your father is not around, or when he abandons you, or he doesn't give you everything that he's supposed to impart in you. He is supposed to impart in you security and a level of care that involves teaching and educating and showing you how to be and what to become, what to look out for. Dependability, you know, those come from fathers. Structure and discipline. Fathers are supposed to hand those things out. You know, a mother's job is to nurture, is to love, is to, educate along with the father. But you know, kids miss out on that when the fathers are not around. You know what I mean? And so I don't try to bash black fathers. You know, I can only talk about black fathers because those are the only fathers that I know about. You know, whether it's my uncles or my pastor or my brothers, you know, black men, that's all I know. And while I would love for us to be able to rally around our black men and support them in such a way, some black men don't allow you to do that. And we are at fault because we haven't found the proper way to educate and to deliver what we're needing and what we're wanting, because sometimes our minds are consumed with things that don't pertain to the well-being of the child. You know, sometimes we can be vindictive, we can be ugly, all of those things. And until we're able to do that and communicate effectively, we're going to have broken families, you know, and it don't even have to be like that. Even again, if you're not together, your family can still be whole. You know what I mean? And we don't have that. And fathers don't understand where we come from. You know, don't nobody want your money. You know what I'm saying? Nobody needs you to get this $50 here, $50. That's not what it's about. It's about that child waking up in the middle of the night, want to know why they don't feel worthy enough for your attention. That's what it's about. And as a mother, it's difficult for us to believably express that father has love for that child when that child has not seen that, you know. And unless you show up in that child's life, they won't know that. I can say it till I'm blue in the face. Oh yeah, your daddy love you. He working or he doing this. If you don't show up and show that you love your children, they're not gonna know that. I don't care about the amount of child support you send or the Jordans you send, the school clothes you buy. That has nothing to do with that kid looking up in those stands, hearing you root for them. That's all it's about. And that's the only thing that mothers do. They come, they show up, and they root for those kids. Period. So if they could get that understanding, it could be different. Your family could be whole. You wouldn't have that bickering. You would have a level of respect that you hadn't seen before. But that's neither here nor there, guys. I do not want to be ranting and going on. I could talk for hours about this. So I want to hear from you guys again. Let me know. Subscribe, like, share this video. Go in the comments, kind of tell me maybe some of your struggles, or maybe some of the ways that you've mended your relationships with, whether it's your father or the father of your children. Leave some ideas for people so that they can hear and see, and maybe hopefully apply some things and get something better out of their lives or their relationships with those fathers. You guys look for me next week. We'll be back. And again, comment, like, share, subscribe to this video, and just talk to me, guys. Let me know what's going on. Until next time, be your own kind of beautiful, because being beautiful is all we can be. Peace.